So this here is the Virtue by Haydenshapes surfboards, and it's in their patented FutureFlex technology. This is a stock Virtue. I was able to go to Monoval, grab it off the rack, and it's a stock 5.8 at 5.8, 20 and 13/16, 2 and 11/16, and it's 33.54 litres. I'm 5'10 and a half, 5'11 on a good day, 5'10 on a bad, and between kind of 94 to 97 kilos, I'd say 95. And yeah, 33.5 litres. My shortboards are normally around kind of 32-ish litres. I don't know, it kind of changes depending on where the foam is. But anyway, a little bit more foam in my shortboards and a little bit less length, but a bit more width. But anyway, Haydenshapes says that the Virtue is kind of a blend, I can't remember the exact wording, of the Hypto Krypto and a really cool model. Probably didn't get the coverage that the Hypto Krypto did, but a Psychedelic Germ. I think Psychedelic Germ has a really kind of cult following. People that know the board love it. So yeah, I had a Hypto Krypto. We did a review 3-4 years ago. One of the funnest, best boards I've ever ridden. Was actually a bit hesitant to check it out. I didn't know who that board was kind of for. I rode it, it was for me. It was epic. Spoke with Hayden, did a custom. Sizing was perfect. Some of the best surfing I've done, I think, in a long time. We'll put a link to that review up here. You can check it out if you haven't already. But many moons ago, 10 years ago, I had a couple of Psych Germs in a row. Really liked it. It encompassed this kind of side cut design. And in the front, it had this displacement hull. Kind of like a boat to break water. Don't know if you could feel that, but anyway, it was really cool. I like how Hayden kind of pushes design in different directions, like from, you know, bringing the FutureFlex on about 15 or 20 years ago, you know, using displacement hulls in front of the boards. I know other people have done that as well, but you know, I mean, he's trying to push these things sidecar. I really like it. It's cool to check out different equipment, and this is definitely one of them. So yeah, they say it's a blend, Hypto Krypto, Psych Germ. The front really looks like the Hypto Krypto, kind of that rounder, fuller nose, some width through the front. And then you see the Psych Germ kick in with this kind of side cut where you see the rail kind of swoop away, but then it almost kind of kicks back out into this little like point kind of flyer, which is really cool, gives a bit more grip. But then it's able, you know, instead of being quite, obviously it's quite wide here, narrows here, but then the flyer allows it to come into, you know, not too wide of a tail. And then it comes in this really nice round, almost a pin. Which I don't know when you kind of claim a pin or whatever, but it feels like there's not fully rounded. There's like a little bump. So I'm going to call it a round pin. But anyway, the rocker is fairly flat. Like the Hypto, like the Psych Germ, the Virtue has a fairly flat rocker. Almost feels there's like a little funny kind of bump here, like it's almost like a little beak. But surprisingly for a really flat board, in suckier and steeper stuff, didn't get in trouble. So it just kind of really designed well, that rocker through the bottom of the board and how it flows into steeper, later kind of suckier stuff, and it works really well. On the bottom, Psych Germ had that kind of displacement hull here that I spoke about. The front is flat, it's a flat entry I think, like the Hypto Krypto. And I couldn't see much online actually. I like to check these things so I don't get them wrong. But about the bottom on the Virtue. So it feels like there's a single, maybe like a light double through a single. I can almost feel like the center, you know, where you would have a stringer, kind of rise, but kind of can't. Might be a really light double, maybe like a really light double out the tail, not quite a V, but it feels like really gentle concave, like nothing really deep, not too aggressive. It's just going to move really well across water, be easy to surf. You know, single concave is really proven, very easy to surf, move water quite efficiently, fast and fun to surf. So a few weeks ago, we put out our full urban surf review, checked out the pool, some tips, some boards to ride. We checked out 4 EPS boards, and this was one of them we touched on just kind of lightly. And we checked out a few PUs as well. Said I would come back later to talk about the Virtue in more detail, and here I am. So we checked out the Virtue at Urban Surf in the intermediate and the advanced setting. It's funny because before I went to Urban Surf, I don't think I'd surfed for 14 weeks. I'd been at the snow in Australia every weekend, and I might have surfed once or twice between that. So going to Urban Surf for 2 days was almost like a crash course back into surfing. My shoulders were gone, my fitness is gone, but the wave was amazing to get not having to duck dive and all that sort of stuff, and just have some gentle kind of rolling, fun, predictable waves. And I really like the intermediate setting. It's very predictable. But also this was the first board. I took 7 boards, and this is the first board I got on. It was a nice way to be reintroduced to surfing after such a hiatus. And yeah, I wasn't sure. Like I said, Hypto I love, Psych Germ I love, but I surfed Psych Germ probably like 2013 or 14, so it's like 10 years ago. I was wondering how this side cut would kind of feel, and I think going through my first turn, as you wind up to go and say like a wrap, and your front foot is using, is bearing this part of the rail, but as you come through more through the turn, you start to go off your back foot more and the back end of the board. Suddenly I felt this freedom where probably I thought the rail would have continued. And I don't know if this is how it's meant to work, but this is how it felt. It was really free, and it like snapped. And I was able to hold on to it, connect it, correct it. I think at another turn, it felt kind of like, whoa, that was a bit wild. And then never felt that again. It felt really natural. It was really easy to turn, having this nice width and this kind of volume at the front to make sure you carry yourself through turns, especially in those flatter sections, but then having this freedom, but still this little bit of bite that's created as the side cut comes back out on that point. But just this freedom, it was really nice to turn. So I wasn't sure how I'd surf after such a break, but the wave just tended to, getting those surfing feet back, and the board was absolutely perfect. It was such a nice introduction to surfing. I'll talk more about fins in a minute, but yeah, the first surf I think was on a thruster, and then I got on the quad, and the quad felt really good to kind of tighten up a bit. Even though I like this feeling of freedom, it kind of tightened it all up a bit, and it was really, really nice to surf. We surfed in the intermediate. We also surfed it in the advanced. Don't know if I've got clips. Got a couple little barrels. Seemed to work really well. The way it beaks and it holds volume here, it didn't mind me getting quite high on the board. And kind of sitting over the front, didn't want to nosedive, and was able to kind of come in and out of some barrels, and it worked really, really well. Getting it back home, I've been home for a few weeks now, since Urban Surf. I've had a few surfs in the ocean. Feels epic, super predictable, feels really nice, just a really nice, gentle way to surf. Like I said, I talked about the intermediate and advanced surf setting. When I'm at home, it's kind of work, they say it's like I think a small wave blend between the Hypto and the Psych Germ, and I was kind of grabbing this for, it says a small wave thing, but I think now I'm kind of tending more to like boards with longer, if it's under kind of waist time, looking at more mid-lengthy or stuff a bit more foam, but this definitely can go. But yeah, from that kind of waist to chest high, this thing is just dynamite. It's absolutely alive. It carries a lot of speed. And I think due to having this nice pocket of volume from that kind of fake beak or kind of beak thing through the front, and then that freedom through your turns to, so when you're wiggling, like pumping, feels really free and really efficient. But then when you wrap and snap through turns, there's not too much you can't do. So, whether I was in the pool on intermediate or the advanced setting, or back home surfing, waves kind of knee to waist high through to like chest to overhead, absolutely epic. It's not something I grab when it's kind of bigger and better, but it's a very, very capable board, and I don't think it'd have a problem when waves a little bit more punch, a little bit bigger. I just would probably mess around with fins so it doesn't feel too loose and too skatey. Like I said, my first surf on the Virtue, I put the Haydenshapes HS1 thruster in. I find it really hard. If there's a shaper who has a fin, really hard to not, Hayden especially, all shapers, they know what they're doing. They put a lot of effort and emphasis into designing these things. So I found it really hard to go past the HS1. So I put the HS1 thruster in, felt pretty good. But like I said, this side cut made it feel a bit like wild. And I'm like, I'm gonna whack quads in and see what it's like. So this is the HS1, which is the large Haydenshapes quad. It's not a Blackstix, but it does have a speed generating foil on the inside of the fin. And these are the Haydenshapes quad rears. So They're large, the HS1s, I think, but they're not an overly large fin. And then the HS quad rears are, I think you would have seen in heaps of reviews, they are epic quad rears. So, I'm here to talk about this board today, but if you're looking for a quad set from Futures and you have a really good thruster set or front fins you like, I would recommend grabbing the Haydenshapes quad rears to make a quad set, and I don't think you'll be disappointed, whether it's the AMs or whatever, and the quad rears from Hayden, epic quad rears. But anyway, yeah, quad rears the quads felt really good, kind of got rid of that wildness that I enjoyed, but made it feel really solid. You could kind of enjoy it without not knowing what it was going to do. We also checked, like I did the AM2s, the thrusters when I've been back home in the ocean, feel really good. And I also wonder what it'd be like as a twin plus one. So I did the Futures Blackstix 4.0, the twin plus one set, and that felt really cool. I thought it would be a bit wild and a bit skatey. Like I said, I did this quad set to kind of tighten it up and a bit more feeling of control. But the 2+1 actually felt really good. They are larger fins, but they felt really fast, really in control, and they're a whole heap of fun. Like I said, this is something I'm going to grab when waves are small in the kind of need a waist to kind of head high sort of range. That's where this thing just dominates. But I really think, I got some bigger ones one day when I was surfing at home, but it's very, very capable. So I think if you're going to surf it in bigger and better waves, start mucking around with fins. I'd probably use a quad that doesn't have a speed generating foil, bigger thrusters, whatever. It's a capable board. I think how you change fins will allow it to do much more, in the small end with speed generating fins, and in the bigger wave end with things that will tighten it up and that, so it doesn't feel so wild. Overall, the Virtue was an absolute blast. Once I first saw it, I think Hayden did like a weird kind of release of this board maybe like 2 years ago, and it came in like a yellow color only. Once I first saw it, I was frothing on it. Like I said, we checked out the Hypto ages ago, and it wasn't a board I was super sure of. I don't know, I was a shortboard guy at the time as well, so I wasn't really kind of into that kind of more alternate figure sort of shapes, but I spoke to Hayden. We're like, let's do a custom, a little bit shorter, a little bit wider, a little thicker, like myself. It was amazing. I felt like I did some of my best surfing on it, whether it was like 1/2 foot grovel or it was 5 foot pumping. Love the Hypto. And if I go back a long time, I had a few Psychedelic Germs that I really liked. And I really enjoyed, playing around with different design features like displacement hulls, side cut and all that sort of stuff. So when I saw the Virtue kind of bring everything together, and the fact that the stock dimensions were pretty much what I wanted, was absolutely frothing to check it out. The chance to take it down the urban surf, check it out in the pool in a really controlled environment to see how it really, really surfed was absolutely epic too. And then bring it home, surf in the ocean, in normal waves that most people surf, it hasn't disappointed either. So I've been super psyched on the Virtue. And also, I guess, mixing around different fin settings, the board is super capable. It's dynamite from, knee to waist high through to chest to overhead. But you mix around with fins for the lower end wave range and the higher end wave range, you've got yourself a very, very capable board. I think the Virtue is for almost anyone. I think the benefits or the characteristics that come from the Hypto Krypto make a very forgiving and easy board to surf. Easy to paddle, easy to get across sections, and very stable. I think the side cut design also for that beginner intermediate is going to make turning and surfing very, very easy. If you're more of an intermediate to an advanced surfer, the thing is fun as hell. There's not too much it can't do. Size it up or down to whatever will work for you. I wouldn't steer too much away from your shortboard volumes unless you want something that's really for that low end sort of small wave range, maybe add like a liter or so, but there isn't too much it can't do. Again, whack a twin plus one, quad, thrust or whatever in it, and you're gonna get different versions of the board that are all really, really fun. Look, overall, I've absolutely loved the Virtue by Haydenshapes. It's been a whole heap of fun to check out, and I want to thank Hayden and the crew at Haydenshapes for the opportunity, and also Urban Surf for getting us down there and giving us such an epic kind of controlled, fun environment to check out the board. I'll put some links above, if I haven't mentioned it, to our full Urban Surf review and the Hypto Krypto review and some other stuff that's kind of relative to this, but I hope you get a chance to check out the Virtue. Thanks so much for watching.